Right, I'm back again. Oh man, why don't y'all tell me my hair was crazy today? All right, it's been an hour since our initial mix. It's just been sitting here covered for an hour. So now we are gonna do the first stretch and fold. And this is the time where I mentioned earlier, we are going to do our slap and fold. This is the one and only time we are gonna be this rough with the dough. Actually, no, because we're gonna we're gonna stretch it out on the next one. But this is the one and only time that we're gonna be this rough with the dough. During this first stretch and fold after we have done our initial mix and let it rest for 1 hour. Okay. So as you can see, it's still just a shaggy dough. It's still, you know, it's got some slightly dry parts in there. It's shaggy. It does not look like a nice dough ball, right? It's just, we mixed it, we let it rest, okay? So we are going to do a stretch and fold first, and then we are going to do the slap and fold, okay? So the stretch and fold is exactly what it sounds like, a stretch and a fold. So we are going to grab a corner of the dough, stretch it, pull it, stretch it up, give it a little bit of a shimmy, and then we're gonna fold it over to the other side. Then we're gonna rotate and do the same thing. Pull up, shimmy, fold it over, rotate it, and we're gonna do all four corners, all four sides, okay? So the purpose, which I already talked about this in the first video, but the purpose of doing these stretch and folds and slap and folds is building your gluten structure in your dough. The gluten structure is your house frame and your skeleton and your frame structure for all your bubbles that are building up during the fermentation process. So the stronger your structure is, the stronger your dough is going to be, and the bigger, fluffier, nicer final loaf you will have. So that's the whole purpose of doing these stretch and folds. So you typically want to do a minimum of 2 stretch and folds. So after we've done our initial mix, we're going to do a stretch, and we rested it for an hour. 1 stretch and fold, which takes 2 seconds. Let it rest 30 minutes. Do another stretch and fold, and then let it bulk ferment. Don't touch it. Let it finish fermenting. So yeah, you at least want to do 2. Personal preference, I like doing 4, so it's a total of 2 hours because I do them every 30 minutes. But if you have time to just do 1 or do 2, do the slap and fold and then let it bulk ferment. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to do, of this series, we're going to do 2. This first slap and fold, we're going to wait 30 more minutes and then do another because we're going to laminate the dough. So for demonstration purposes. Okay, so this is just water. Now you want to wet your hands so that it won't stick as much. So I just have some water. It's not like dripping enough to where I'm going to add hydration back to the dough, but it's enough to moisten my hands. Okay, so I'm just grabbing, kind of gently pulling up from the bottom. And I'm just going to grab one piece, one side, gently stretch and pull as far as it can go before it starts tearing. Then I'm going to fold it over to the other side. Okay, now I'm going to rotate and do it again on this side, okay? Kind of gently pull up from the bottom because it may be kind of stuck there. Pull, do a little shimmy, fold it over to the other side. Rotate again. You may need some more water. Rotate again. I'm just doing the exact same thing on all 4 sides. Pull it off from the bottom as need be, since this is the first one. After your initial mix, it may have some stuff at the bottom. That's fine. Just get whatever you can off the bottom there. Okay, grab, pull up, fold over. I got one more side. And you'll notice that this one is the first one. It doesn't really have much elasticity or stretch to it because we just mixed it an hour ago, right? So you will notice that with each stretch and fold that you do, the dough will get more elastic and silkier and smoother looking every single time. And that's your sign that it's working. It was fixing to tear, so I folded it over. So that's it, all right? That's my stretch and fold. Then I would shut it and wait 30 minutes, right? But since this is that first one, I'm gonna do that slap and fold that I was talking about. Good morning. Hey, Anna. How are you? Did you finish all your morning workouts? And back, are you at work now? Okay, so I used to do it in the bowl, but I had such experiences in class where people were breaking their bowls. Plus, it's easier to just do it on the counter. So we're gonna do it on the counter. So I just have my counter here, and I'm going to. Well, you know, I probably should have cleaned this a little better before it got going. Let's see. So I'm gonna wet my surface. This is wood, so I have not oiled it lately, so I'm like, it needs some moisture. Oh man. Okay. All right, now I'm just gonna dump it out on that. You ran and went straight to the office. Nice. I have not been running in I don't know how long. I used to. I used to. All right, so it's got stuff stuck at the bottom, so I'm just trying to just kind of get all the stuff off. If you have a scraper, that's fine. Oh man, that one's soft. Where's my little bendable one? I need my bendable one. This is why I like this one, because it's like flexible. I like this one for scraping off the bowl. And then this one for like cutting it. Okay. So we've mixed our dough, we've let it rest an hour, and now we've done our first stretch and fold, and I'm going to show you the slap and fold, which, like I mentioned earlier, the slap and fold is the one and only time we're going to be this rough with it. I only do it after the first mix. Just this first one is the only time I do it. The other rest of the time, stretch and folds I do are going to be gentle stretch and folds.
I saw a big ant.
You saw an ant? Oh, did you get him?
No, Dad.
Dad got him. Okay.
No.
Don't let him get in the house. Okay. So the slap and fold, again, it's going to give your gluten structure a boost. I noticed that after I do this, you should notice it turn from just this glob of dough into a nice little dough ball, okay? It should literally transform before your eyes and turn from a shaggy mess into a nice ball of dough, and that's because, boom, you just kickstarted your gluten, and if you don't have time, like I said, to do stretch and folds every 30 minutes for the next 2 hours, do this. And then that's it. Because this will significantly strengthen your dough. So, I'm like, okay, let's prepare for this. So this is the fun part. I love doing this because, see, this is why I wet my surface, because it sticks. So it's gonna do exactly what we're gonna slap it on one side, okay? So I'm gonna slap this bottom side and then fold this part over, okay? So I'm gonna slap it, move the camera, fold that over, okay? Turn it, slap it, fold it over. And I'm gonna try to do it in as fast, swift motion as possible. Slap one side, fold the other side over. Just do it over and over, and you'll see it literally transform before, I hope my camera isn't falling down, and you'll see it literally transform before your eyes into a nice, smooth, nice, smooth dough ball. I'm like, I was getting my words confused there. So slap one side, try to do it fast. Slap with the cooker, you do it. And again, this is the one time I'm gonna be this rough with it. So if you're stressed, this is the time to get out your energy. Okay, so that's it. So you'll notice it turned from a gloopy, just shaggy dough into now it's a nice smooth little dough ball. Right? So the gluten structure has been kick-started and activated just from that little slap and fold, okay? So now I'm gonna stick it back into my bowl. Now I'm gonna let it rest for another 30 minutes. And then I will come back, and the next time I do it, see, and if you notice, because this is just our first mix, if there's any little dry bits, there's like a little dry bit there, just flour, I'm just gonna kind of squeeze that in so that it can get worked in during this next rest period. Okay, so now it's a nice smooth dough ball. I'm gonna stick it back in. Beautiful. See how I went from a shaggy mess to a nice dough. Put the lid on, let it rest for 30 more minutes, and I'm gonna do one more set of stretch and folds, and then I'm gonna let it bulk ferment. But what I am gonna do is probably should have done this before I did that, but I'm gonna do this now. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and do my little aliquot, okay? So this is called the aliquot method that I learned from, oh my goodness, this. I don't know what her name is. It's from TikTok from a couple years ago. I can't remember her name. But anyways, she's a sourdough genius. And she introduced me to this, and I've been using it ever since. And this is what I teach in my classes. So this is just a little 2-ounce cup. And this is just really going to help when trying to determine if your dough is ready to shape and bulk ferment is complete. So until you learn how to read your dough and know what the signs are, how to tell it's fully fermented and ready to shape, this was really going to help you. So instead of watching this big dough ball, you're going to be watching this. So it just makes it a lot easier. So what this is just a 2-ounce little cup. I am going to put 40 grams of my mom dough into here, okay? So I have it on my scale. I'm just gonna pinch off a little piece of dough. Stick it on and measure 40 grams. It's 34. $38. Pinch off, here we go. Okay, so we got 40 grams in here. I'm gonna just, make sure it's together. Stick it on in there. Kind of squish it in. Okay, put the lid on. And this, we are waiting for this to reach the top of the lid, okay? And once your little top, see how it's kind of domed there? Once that touches the top of the lid, then that is your sign that your dough is finished bulk fermenting and it's time to get it out and shape it, okay? So instead of looking at this and wondering, is it ready? And you're trying to figure it out, you just look at this and this is your sign. Okay, once you see where it's at, so once that little dome touches the top of the lid, it has risen by 30%, and that will give you enough time to dump it out, do your pre-shape, do your final shape, get it in your Banneton, and get it in the fridge for the long cold ferment, and overnight, minimum of 10 hours. And it will give you enough time to do all of that, which may take another hour or two once it's finished fermenting, and for it to ferment in the fridge and it not over ferment, because you could over ferment. And if you over ferment it, then it has essentially done what our starter does, is it goes through all of its food and then it falls flat. So whenever you go to bake it, whenever you go to bake it, you're not gonna have enough food in it for it to do a rise, and it'll, so if you ever have a, what? I'm on the phone.
You know that I want to poop.
Oh, you did just now? Shut up, give me 5. Good job. Lost my train of thought, I'm so sorry. If you have a problem with your loaves, whether they're just turning out either flat like a pancake, dense, gummy, all the things, if it's not your starter, then it's typically your you're not catching it at the right bulk ferment. So if you let it ferment too long, it's gone through all of its food and it doesn't have enough energy to rise, and it's just gonna fall flat and completely just be a flat disc. Vice versa, if you, honey, hold on a second, I'm on the phone, okay? Thank you. Vice versa, if you don't let it ferment for long enough, it's not gonna have what's the word I'm looking for? Developed. It's not gonna have developed enough bubbles, so it's just gonna be gummy because it didn't ferment long enough, and it's just gonna be a gummy flat loaf, and you may notice some random really large holes in the top. You all right? So catching the bulk ferment at the right time is really important. It's second in importance, in my opinion, aside from having a very strong starter. Catching it at the right bulk ferment is key to having a nice loaf. So this is really going to help you. You're just watching this. As soon as this reaches the top, that's your sign that it's time to get it out and to shape it. So again, 2-ounce cup, I put 40 grams of dough in here, and you don't necessarily have to wait for the thing to be like completely full. You're just seeing that little dome. Can you see how it's domed? You're just waiting for that little dome, you see, to touch, just barely touch the top of the lid, okay? Don't wait till it's like overflowing. Just wait for it to touch the top of the lid and you're ready, and I'll show you once we get to that point. But my point is, I've gotten my little sample into this after I initially mixed it, and let it rest for 30 minutes. And now I take my sample out, but you need to keep this everywhere your mom dough goes. So put this back in here on top of your mama dough and keep it together, okay? Because if you don't keep it together, then it becomes inaccurate. If I have my bowl here and then my little aliquot over there, it's not gonna be accurate. Like, keep them together at all times, okay? Because you want them to be in the same environment and for it to be accurate. So now I'm gonna let it rest another 30 minutes, and then I will come back and do our lamination. And then we're gonna let it rest to fully finish fermenting, and then I will come back after that and show y'all what it looks like once it's fully fermented, and we'll see this should have reached the top of our cup. That will be our sign, and we'll go back. For now, I'll be back in 30 minutes to do our lamination, which is where we put it on the counter again. We're gonna stretch it out and get it as far as it can go, and that's gonna be your other key to having a very strong gluten structure in your dough. So we will see y'all again here in 30 minutes for the lamination. See y'all.